Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host, Flavia Barris, as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media, including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur.
Hey, Lifestyle Solopreneurs. Today we get to meet with Dale Wills. He is an experienced real estate developer who has been involved in the industry for more than 35 years. He's the owner and founder of Centra Companies. And since 2011, he has overseen the development of more than 1,500 homes across 50 plus projects, totaling over $500 million in project value. He recently established Centra Capital Partners, a real estate syndication company partnering with accredited investors to build wealth through the ground up single-family home developments in the Midwest. Welcome to the show, Dale.
Thanks for having me, Flavia.
It's great to have you here. I love real estate. I love talking about real estate. I know that is definitely your niche, your area of expertise. So tell us a little bit about how you ended up in the world of real estate syndication and what it took to get there.
I have been an entrepreneur in some fashion almost my entire life. I've worked for other people a few times, but I started my first business adventure when I was 7 years old. And I was in construction for a little bit in my late teens, early 20s, and then did some banking, and then jumped out for a while, did some retail. And I'm constantly drawn back to real estate. Our mission as a company is we improve everything we touch. And real estate, you really can't, there's no business I know of that you can have an impact on people's lives like you can real estate. If you think about it, your greatest formidable memories as a child, hopefully they're good, were in the street in the front of your house. They were at the movie theater down the road. They were in the backyard with your family. And I think it's pretty cool in real estate. We create those environments. And so that's what just everything just draws me back to real estate. And now most everything we do in business is real estate related.
So we've talked about syndication on the show before, but I think there's always listeners who might have missed an episode or just don't remember or weren't listening closely. Give us a layman's definition of what is real estate syndication and how does a company like yours fit into that?
Yeah, for us, it's a matter of pooling assets and resources together. So giving an opportunity for people to be able to invest their capital, whether it's through an IRA or investment in income they have into real estate, and then often pooling multiple assets together. So it's really just a function of pooling resources and assets together to give people an opportunity to invest in real estate.
And listeners know I work in real estate law primarily, but we also have a brokerage. We do property management. So real estate is really my thing. And I will tell you, the sort of one of the big ones that pops up for me is I will have people say to me, hey, you help connect people to great real estate investments. Guess what? I found this great building. It's amazing. But in order to buy it, I'm going to have to pool together some money. I don't have it myself. I have maybe a little bit of it. But I was thinking maybe to go to work and ask all my coworkers, if everybody pitches in $5,000, we could together buy this building and operate it. And it's amazing and this and that. And so I've actually myself had to sit with people and say, oh, okay, listen though, pooling together investor money is highly regulated. The state, the government really wants to know who is out there asking people to invest their hard-earned money in a business venture that is risky. And so it's not as easy as you just show up at work and say, hey, look at this thing. Who wants to pitch in $5,000? You really have to know what you're doing. And so tell us a little bit about how you structure your company, because I've found that syndicators usually like to focus on a type of investment. So you're not just out there saying, hey, everybody, let's pool together resources and assets and some cash and let's do these amazing things. Generally, usually it's let's do these very specific, amazing things. So what's your narrow focus?
Yeah, we primarily right now, we're focused on for sale housing. We do have some apartment complexes and some office, but everything we do is a value add. So what that means is we're not going to go out and buy a Class A apartment complex, buy it and use it as returns versus we're going to go maybe buy a Class C apartment complex. So Class A is it's in really great condition. It looks good. There's nothing you need to do with it. It's fairly new. Class C would be something that's a little bit older and needs some love and care to take care of it. And so we'll get something that maybe is a Class C apartment complex and we'll rehab it and put it in a good position to where workforce housing is available for people at an affordable price. But it's also something that they're proud of and that they can call home. And then for sale housing, right now, there's just a huge need on affordable housing. And so we do quite a bit on for sale housing where people can invest in those investments and get a return. And I think, Flavia, the point you make, I think is really important as you're looking, those that are listening that are thinking about starting a business, be an expert at what you do. So often people that want to jump into real estate and they're really good at whatever, something else. If you're a doctor, be an amazing doctor and make a ton of money being a doctor, and then find somebody that's an expert at real estate and join forces with them and let them be the best. Because you don't want to deal with cockroaches and broken down furnaces and units that are turned into drug houses unless you really are an expert at making sure you can manage those things and mitigate those risks.
Such good advice. But there's people that are like, yeah, but I don't want to stay in my own lane. I'm ready to explore. I want to learn new things. And I think there are ways to do that without saying, I'm going to start this thing that I don't know much about from scratch and I'm going to go solo. So for someone that wants to someday be you, but they're at the very start of the journey, what would you recommend to them? Do they look for a type of program? Is it more learning? Do they need to just go work somewhere that's already doing this and kind of start at that bottom rung of the ladder and work your way up through experience? What would you tell someone who right now said, I don't do anything in real estate, but what you're doing is my dream? How do I someday get there?
At first, you've got to be fully committed. If that's the career path, you want to be involved in real estate, then be fully committed to real estate. Now, that may not be possible today because today I might be an accountant and I'm working full time and I've got to support my family. But you just want to absorb information. This is a perfect case in point is this podcast. You can listen to podcasts that are free. There's thousands of them out there. There are lots of books to read. I think I like to tell young people that are starting out, we become the average of our 5 closest friends. And I'm a big believer in that. And so I'll ask you and I'll say, okay, Flavio, what are your dreams? Where do you want to be 20 years from now? And how many of those 5 people are living that dream? And if they tell me there's one, then it's, okay, your dreams aren't big enough, or that's really not one of your 5 closest friends, or you just don't have very many friends. But so what do you do about that? Well, I'm not going to give up my 5 closest friends. And the person that is where I want to be 20 years from now doesn't want to hang out with me today. And so what do I do about that? I think you got to create that 5 closest friends artificially. That's through listening to podcasts, reading books, and in absorbing information. Go to organizations that are like-minded. Because the problem is when we're starting out in business or we're new to business, everybody will tell you why you can't be successful. People will say, that's a dumb idea, or, oh, isn't that a lot of risk? Or doesn't that worry you? And that just isn't helpful. We need to have people around us that are cheerleaders. So how do you get that? You join groups and organizations like entrepreneurs organizations. You read books, you listen to podcasts, and that will elevate your thinking and you'll see what suddenly you didn't think is possible. Now you see what's possible. And still continue to have your friends and your family. Just don't take their business advice.
So I think every business has the pros and the cons, right? Like the benefits, but then also the challenges in that market, in that niche. For real estate syndication, let's just talk about the investors, the people who hand over their equity so that the syndicating group, the company, can go out there and find the deals and source the projects and get it all done. And for the investor, what are some of the main benefits, but what are also some of the risks or challenges?
Yeah, the big benefits are you don't have to worry about being the expert. Be an expert at what you do that has raised wealth for you. And now let somebody else be the expert. So the advantage is you can now invest we've got opportunities where people are getting between a 17 and a 20% return on their money. And that's pretty good. And so allow somebody that you can invest with, that you trust, and all of a sudden you can also build wealth with them. You're involved in real estate, which is a pretty exciting proposition. I love real estate. And so now you can be involved in it, and yet you don't have to worry about the day-to-day. That's the huge thing about being able to get into a syndication. Now, the downsides are there's a lot of people that don't know what they're doing. And it's really important that you research what is their experience? What is their track record? Is this their first deal or is this their 100th deal? And how have they done? If they've done 100 deals, how'd they do on the previous 99? And so it's really important you're teaming up with somebody that knows what they're doing and has some historical experience. If they've only been in business 5 years and they've got a really great track record, they don't have experience with a down market. And what are they going to do when they experience that down market? It's in my lifetime, I've experienced the early 90s, the early 2000s, 2008. We've had a lot of down markets that teach a lot of lessons. So make sure you're partnering up with somebody that has had some of those experiences, because there's going to be another down market at some point. You don't know when it's going to be, but do they know what to do? Do they have an idea? Have they set up some mitigation to be able to offset what that downturn is going to be so it minimizes what could happen and what could be?
What do you think the future of just single family home in the Midwest is? That's the area you specialize in, ground up too. And maybe describe for anyone who doesn't know the term ground up. What does that mean? What does ground up mean? And why single family homes as opposed to buildings like apartment buildings?
Yeah, ground up basically for us, we do have some exceptions. We just bought a community of 90 lots that somebody else has finished the lots and we're going to build houses on it. But for the most part, we're going in and we're either developing or redeveloping. So developing, it might have been a cornfield, and we are going in and making sure that the soils will support the roads, the houses, that we're protecting the environment in the process. We then go in and design the roads. We put the roads in, we design the houses, we build the houses all the way to the end. Or redevelopment might be, we had a project that we're on the tail end of that the city used to have their offices there. There were some apartments, there was a strip mall, various things, and it was just in really bad disrepair. A lot of it was vacant. So we went in, we tore all the buildings down, we cleaned up the site, cleaned up the soils to make sure we're protecting the environment, and then redesigned all the roads and built the houses. And I apologize, I got so carried away what ground up means. What was the other part of the question, Flavia?
So, and why do you focus on single family homes as opposed to
yes.
buildings?
No, I love that part of the question. I shouldn't forget that part of the question. There's always a need for housing. We look back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, housing was really in a tough place. We continued to build through that. People want to be able to buy houses. And if you look at today, at the time of this recording, interest rates are bouncing it around at about 6.5% for a 30-year mortgage. It wasn't long ago that people were getting plus or minus 3%. And that difference between 3 and 6.5 is pretty significant in what person can buy, what they can afford. And we also have seen a pretty significant appreciation in the last several years of what a house costs. So a few years ago, we had a house that might be $300,000 at a 3% interest rate. It's now suddenly $500,000 at a 6.5% interest rate. But what did that do? That really narrowed down how many people can even afford their first house. And so when you can figure out how to make an affordable house, you just opened up a huge swath of people that now can buy a house that couldn't have otherwise. And so we really love focusing on a house that a first-time buyer can afford, that they can start creating those memories with their families, and that also fits within that interest rate. And we just are super passionate about that because it's giving people opportunities to buy houses that would not have otherwise, as we figure out how to be efficient and affordable. And then you've really hedged your bet when the market slows down. Looking back at 09, 10, 11, those first-time buyers still were buying houses when they had a job. And that will continue to always be the case. Even in a hot market, there's still those first-time buyers, and there's more of those than there are the buyers that are buying the $600,000 and $700,000 and $800,000 houses. And that's true not only in the Midwest, but that's true anywhere in the world.
The Midwest versus non-Midwest. So what's the opposite of Midwest, right? Pacific Northwest, I guess the Southwest, the coastal
Yeah.
towns. You know, why do you focus on the Midwest? Tell us that.
Right now, because that's where we are. I grew up in California, spent some time in Nevada, in Utah, was asked to come to Minnesota for a period of time for a national home builder. And we liked it. It was a good place for our family and we stayed put. And I had the desire to go back and work for myself again and started Centra Companies several years ago. And we just decided to stay put here. And we have done some investments in other markets, but most of it is in the Midwest only because that's where we live. And that's where we do have employees that work out of California and Utah and other locations, but most of them are in the Midwest. And that's where the focus is.
That makes a lot of sense. That truly does. So for you looking forward in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, do you have any huge goals or plans for yourself as a lifestyle solopreneur?
Yeah, it's interesting. When we started Centra Capital Partners, which is the investment arm, it started because we allow all of our employees can buy homes at cost from us. And we have one employee that will do this regularly. He'll buy a home at cost, turns it into a rental, and he's built quite a rental portfolio and has done really well at it because they buy the house from us at cost. They've got immediate equity. And I was sitting visiting with him one day, and Congress has written a lot of laws to incentivize us to invest in real estate. And because of that, being self-employed, being in real estate, we're able to utilize these laws to benefit the economy. And as a result, it reduces my tax liability. I'm comparing notes with him because he is a W-2 employee. Even though he's in real estate, he doesn't get the same advantages I get. And that really bothered me. I'm trying to help them build wealth, but they've got several built-in disadvantages to me. And that really stuck with me. And ultimately, I want to find a vehicle to help all of our team build wealth right alongside with me. And that's eventually it turned from not only do we help our employees, but now how do we help friends and family to why don't we just open this up to anybody that wants to invest? And that's where Centra Capital Partners came about, was because of an employee that I'm like, this isn't fair. How do I help him accelerate his wealth building? So now we just let anybody that wants to invest with us. So we're really excited about that. We're really good at what we do. We really know real estate. And so we're excited to be able to take that knowledge and experience that we have and allowing others to invest in it. And then going into other markets that we're very familiar with, that we've done some things in, that we also could expand our footprint and offering that we have. And so that's the thing that we're looking forward to the most and most excited about.
And so how does someone learn more about your company and some of these opportunities that you're putting together for your employees and friends and family and just opening it up to a greater number of people than before?
Yeah, we have, if anybody wants to reach out to me individually, LinkedIn is a great place. I'm very active on LinkedIn. It's a great community. If you want to look at what we're doing as a company and some of our investments, Centra Capital Partners, Centra with a CENTRA, capitalpartners.com is a great place to see what investments we have, what projects we're involved in. And then we also have Centra Homes, which you can see all the projects we're currently actively building in. And then Centra Capital Partners are just the investment opportunities. So you'll see some overlap there because Centra Capital Partners is the equity arm for Centra Homes.
Isn't it great that a whole new idea for an entire division of your company, a new company, was born of a conversation? And that's why I love conversations. And I think it was really hard during the pandemic because a lot of people withdrew, and because they couldn't see people in person, they stopped seeing people at all. And even a Zoom meeting never feels quite the same as sitting at a table and having a leisurely cup of coffee and chatting with someone. And I love that you had a conversation. You're like, this could lead to a whole new business venture and opportunity for a lot more people. So that's just a great story in and of itself.
Nothing replaces, I agree with you, nothing replaces that in-person visit. When COVID kicked in, we abided by all the laws, we implemented everything. And most of our people were like, we want to be back together. And so we said, all right, how do we do that and still abide by all the rules? And without exception, everybody came back to the office full time because they wanted to be together. The excitement, the energy that comes from being together.
Nothing replaces that. Thank you for sharing your excitement and everything that you're up to with us. Again, for the website, it's Centra, Capital Partners, and Centra spelled CENTRA, capitalpartners.com. And again, on LinkedIn, that's a great way to reach out with Dale. Dale Wills, WILS, Dale Wills. Dale, any parting thoughts for lifestyle solopreneurs who are either already on the road to their entrepreneurship journey or who are still stuck somewhere, wishing they could take that leap and do something new and different and just really contribute to designing their own lifestyle?
Ben Hardy wrote a series of 3 books, The Gap and the Gain, Who Not How, and 10X is Easier than 2X. And I would read them in that order if you haven't read one of them already. If you have read one of them, then read the others. But it's really good. The Gap and the Gain is about making sure you have the right mindset. The Who Not How is don't figure out how to do everything. Find who's that are going to help you. And then 10X is easier than 2X really helps your psyche and how do you grow something. And that's a really good starting point, is really working on that, the focus of how to move forward. How do I be an entrepreneur? And then just do it. It's the funnest thing in the world. I love making a difference and working for myself. And so just stop procrastinating and jump, go.
I love it. Great parting words. Stop procrastinating, jump, go. Let's all do this together. Dale, it's been such a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for all that you're doing, not just to help people have the homes that they can create those important memories in, but also to help people invest in real estate who may not otherwise have that opportunity. So Dale, thanks once again for all that you do and for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Flavia.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and if you leave a review on iTunes, I promise I will read every single review. If you know someone who makes a full-time living from part-time work, and maybe this is you, please visit lifestylesolopreneur.com to nominate a guest or to nominate yourself. Because remember this, money doesn't buy happiness, but money in the hands of a happy person, there is no greater tool.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Get Shift Done program. It's a lifestyle-changing online class to help you define your business and lifestyle ambitions and to set goals in a way you've never experienced before. This class will 10x your daily productivity with methods that will blow your mind. And if you use the coupon code podcast, the class tuition is 99% off. Visit GetShiftDone.com to enroll today.